Just for some context, the following video is just a conversation I had with my coach following Ironman Australia. We basically just talk about some goals we're going to set moving forward and the kind of training we're going to do to actually achieve that. And if you haven't watched my race recap video yet, the following video won't make much sense, so I'd suggest you watch that first. It's very much just a candid conversation, not really a video, so I extracted the audio from it and uploaded that to Spotify, so if you'd rather just listen to it, I'll put a link to that as well in the description.
Yeah, no, that works out right then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I wanted to just do a quick chat, do a bit of a race debrief maybe after first Ironman, and then we can sort of chat about, we haven't really spoken about what would be next as far as picking out some races or what we should sort of prioritize as goals and things like that. So I just wanted to have a quick chat and sort of see where we should head.
Yes.
But as far as the race, I was pretty happy with 10 hours, 22 minutes. It wasn't really how I expected to get to 10 hours and 22. It was sort of struggled a bit in the swim and the bike, but then the run was stronger than I was expecting. So that was funny how that all played out, but it was good to end on a good note, I think.
Yeah, the run was stronger from than I thought as well. When I started, because I was following throughout the day.
Yeah,
and when I'm still seeing these splits at 4:45, at first I'm thinking, God, he's gone out too fast. We've had these conversations, and then they kept going 4:45, 4:45, 4:45, 4:45, and I'm thinking, well, he's holding it, and then we get to 20 miles, and we start seeing a bit of a pace fade, but only slightly. And I'm thinking he's going to hold this pace here, and we did not train for that pace whatsoever.
No, that's the funny thing.
And you nailed it.
Yeah. No, we spent very little time holding 4:45 pace. Like it was always either 5 to 5:15 in the long runs, and then if we were doing like medium efforts, that was like 4:30s to 4:40s. But they're only short intervals, so it was interesting. Yeah, that I was able to hold that for so long. And I think because I had a bit of a weaker bike where I couldn't push the power I wanted to push, my legs were pretty fresh coming off that. And I probably hadn't tested myself in a long run for quite a while either. Like they're all those 32Ks where I'm holding 5 to 5:30 pace. It's all very comfortable. I knew I was doing that easily. So I hadn't had a chance for quite a while to actually, let the reins off and just go as hard as I could. So that was really fun.
And the key part was you were very, very consistent with not only your whole training, but those long runs, very, very consistent week in, week out. Yeah. And it's not that mentally easy to make them consistent week in, week out. But you found a way, which definitlike paid dividends on race day.
I think the fact that, it was probably 3 out of 4 weeks we were doing a 32K long run for like the last 12 weeks. So that certainly helped out. I think I sort of mentioned it in my race recap video. It was like I felt like my run is really strong now. Like I don't have an issue covering that kind of distance because we've done so many longer runs quite consistently. But I felt like it was interesting when I was running at that pace. It wasn't like my heart rate was through the roof and there was almost no pain in my legs, but it still felt like I couldn't go any faster, which is sort of strange how I felt that way, because I thought, your calves would hold you back or your quads would be dead after the bike, but it was more just I didn't have any more speed in my legs, rather than, I don't know, lactic acid holding me back or lack of aerobic fitness holding me back. So I think that just goes to show the benefits of so many 32K long runs getting comfortable.
Yeah, and a lot of the miles too were at a lower intensity, which you saw the benefits of that. I mentioned in the feedback of the bike and the run that your aerobic capacity is A+ on both of them. We don't see that too often, where a lot of athletes aren't that is nowhere near as efficient for that aerobic capacity as they could or definitely should be. But you definitely showed A+ for both bike and run for your aerobic capacity. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
And what you've done is build a spectacular foundation on what you can build upon now.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It's funny. I think we trained very specifically for Ironman. Like I had that very specific long aerobic fitness. I was talking to a friend a couple of weeks before the race who's a bit of a runner as well. And I said, I'm in such specific Ironman shape that like my marathon pace wouldn't be too different to my 10K pace at the moment, because I'm just so aerobically in shape and haven't done much threshold work. It's all been good long moderate miles, which works. Obviously it worked really well for Ironman, because honestly that marathon wasn't very painful at all. Like it felt like it was as fast as I could go, but I wasn't in agony at any stage. It was all fun.
Nice. So, and what was that? There was what was the finish? There was like 1,000 people or 800. It was, and you were one of the lucky ones that didn't get that pain in the legs.
So I got to really lap it up. It was awesome.
Most of them were dying, but you did well.
No, it was a very, very good day. But yeah, I suppose one thing I'm thinking of is, okay, well, what races should we do next? But probably the thing to ask first is, okay, well, what kind of goals should we set? And then we can plan a race schedule around that. Where do you think we could go?
I think Kona.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sticks out at me, that you could in a year or so be in you were in the training you were doing leading into this was that of a Kona qualifier. And we could see, but by looking at the data that's come off those sessions, that we're in that ballpark. So that's I don't know if Kona's what you want, but that from my point of view, that's definitely achievable. Over the next year. So if you picked, let's say we use this same race again. Let's say you pick Ironman Australia. And give yourself that full year. Being in that a closer ballpark to obviously you've got no say on who turns up in your age group and everything like that, but you would be in the conversation for Kona in a year's time.
No, I agree. I think that's probably where my mind was at, was if we can set a 12-month goal to get a Kona qualification, that's probably what I was hoping for as well. And I think the guy who won my age group was about 40 minutes faster. But I think, we've only been working together for the best part of 6 months now. And with another 12 months of consistent training, I'd like to think we can make plenty more improvements. I mean, if you look at where we started to where we are now, huge in terms of that aerobic build, at least.
So in your age group, I don't know how many slots there would be. I would guess there'd be only the one slot in your age group. So you definitely have to win it.
You want to win it.
Whereas Ironman Cairns, there's going to be probably 2-3 slots.
Okay.
But having said that, I think it's achievable that you could go into there with the goal to win your age group. You've got to take. We've got to improve the swim. We've got to get that to an hour or better. So we've got to. You can easily take. I think within a year you could easily take that 30 minutes off the bike. And on that run, you can definitely improve the run.
Of course.
But because you've just shown that you training for a 3:30, you can do a 3:24.
I think the swim and the bike are certainly the easiest places, I think, for us to pick up time. And then the runs, obviously, I was pretty strong on the run, so that'll improve, no doubt. But I think prioritizing the bike, like you said, if we can take half an hour off the bike in 12 months, I think that's something I'd really like to work on. And then the swim, if we can get that down to an hour. So one thing in the swim I noticed was, I sort of mentioned it in my race recap, like 2.5 to 3K felt like that's the kind of swim shape I was in. And beyond that, I was at the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to get out of the water really quickly here now. I was ready to get on the bike because I was getting pretty sick of being out there. It was just my form deteriorated quite poorly in the last sort of 1,500 of that swim. I think that's one thing we can work on.
Well, there's a pretty well-known coach, Alan Cousins, posted on Twitter just very recently that if you're a serious swimmer, you need to be doing 7K swim sessions, and there's a lot of truth to that. Though the only downside to doing 7K swim sessions is that time commitment to get into the water regularly. But with some some focus on technique and just miles and work on mobility as well. Maybe if there's like a swim squad locally, you can jump in with. You'll probably see improvements on that alone. Just jumping in with a squad, and then focus on technique and just get those miles in as well. Will go a long way.
Yep. No, I think that's certainly a priority. And then as far as the ride, I actually just sent a few questions in for your podcast actually in terms of swim and bike and run. So I don't want to step on too many of the questions I've already asked you, because I'll let you discuss that in your podcast. But with the bike, I was thinking, I mean, the biggest issue I had was staying aero for that, like the 5.5 hours. I had serious cramps down my back. And I think it was just the fact that I hadn't been super strict with it in training. So if it was hurting in training, I'd just get up and lean back.
Yeah, so that's the thing. When we're in training, we'll get a slight little hill or whatever.
Exactly.
Or we can sit up and pedal for a while. There's a traffic light coming up, so we can just. While in race day, we're locked into that position constantly, and so you haven't got that concept, that relief. But there are some strength exercises you can do to help. So you just strengthen those areas up, so we can definitely incorporate them. And it's time in that position, but also supplementing it with a few different stretchings and strength exercises.
Yep. Okay. I'm looking forward to getting back into some more strength stuff in the gym. I think we were at 2 days a week there for a while, and I think that was working quite well. So something like that would be quite good in the next sort of blocks. But yeah, okay. So if we're looking at, let's say Kona in 12 months is a bit of a goal at least to work towards. As far as setting up races, should I be looking at 70.3s, or should I be looking at doing some more longer stuff, shorter sprint distance stuff? How do you think we should go about putting together some more races?
Yeah, so it would be nice to do 1 or 2 70.3s leading in that 16, 20 weeks leading into the Ironman, excuse me, with no expectations for them. So, excuse me. So chances are we're probably not going to taper for them. We might do a bit of resting, but we may do nowhere near as much rest as a lot of other people would expect. So there'd be just a training day, but it would be just a good blowout. Sprint distances in that 6 months leading into an Ironman, I don't see a lot of value in unless you're dead set on wanting to support your local tri club, or it's just purely you want that mental break and have fun. But Olympic distances are okay. As of we're talking 12 months ahead, but we're not just spending all winter training for an Ironman. We're working on other things where we're just trying to stay healthy throughout winter, trying to stay fit. But we're working on some weaknesses. We want to have fun during winter because they're the hardest months to train.
Yeah, true.
And then because once the training starts for Ironman, you want to be mentally fresh. You don't want to be so mentally fatigued thinking, geez, I've been grinding at this for 6 months now and now I've got another 6 months of this. So so the next 6 months, so to speak, would have to be targeting those bike swims, but the goal would have to be fun and to make it fun. So whether you pick a particular day or 2 days or whatever that you want to ride with a fast local group, just to blow the cobwebs out each and training with others, half the suffering is shared then. So
no, I think that's really good. If I can have some time to sort of do some more fun stuff, run with friends, bike with friends, do some some charity events or some fundraisers, things like that. Especially with
local
YouTube
park
as well.
runs or
stuff like that. Some more workouts where I can make a YouTube video out of it. That's going to be great fun and stuff like that. So that'd be a really good way, I think, to go through winter, as well as still working on. We want to drop time off the bike, improve the swim a bit. and then the run. We still want to improve, I guess.
I think, focusing, bringing especially the long run, we'll bring that down to about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll try and work on a bit of speed or whatever, shorter distance. But I think that run's going to take care of itself by just staying consistent and just being a little strategic with how we structure the block. But for the most part, I think that run will take care of itself. It'd be the main focus will be that bike and swim.
Yeah. Well, I think in a way we kind of know what works for a long run for me now. Obviously we don't have too many data points, but that consistent, 12 to 16 weeks of, 32K runs quite regularly, that obviously worked quite well running off the bike. So yeah, we can kind of put that on the shelf and then let's focus on improving that swim and bike.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the 20-mile runs for 20 weeks leading into an Ironman.
Okay.
But for you, but for yourself, we did it three weeks in a row, and then then we do a week where it'd be just a plain 2 hours. But we did two 2-hour run weeks that week. But we kept the volume.
That was a good one. I do remember those, the recovery weeks of 2-hour runs. That was great. Yeah. No, but it works. I think that works for me. Like, I actually felt like high volume was working quite well. And if anything, I'm more than happy to increase the volume again. Like that, I certainly wasn't having any issues, even on the peak, busiest, biggest weeks. I still felt like we could do more. So I'm certainly happy to ramp the volume up again.
Yeah, it's one of those things where some athletes struggle. More times than not, they'll struggle mentally or they'll ramp up too hard. But as I said in our last video, when we first started, there'd be no way that I thought we were going to be able to put that sort of volume together, and that we did. But you were absorbing the volume very well. You're recovering through the volume, and you were loving the intensity that we kept throwing at it. And so we had to change directions because we knew you were able to handle that volume. But so there'd be generally for most athletes, I wouldn't jump straight up to that sort of volume. That'd be a very slow process. But your body loved it.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was really loving, and all the weeks over 20 hours, they were my favorite weeks because they were just get up, train, go to bed, train. It was awesome. So,
it is,
yeah.
It's a great lifestyle. I love it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There's something you said in your podcast, one of the ones I was listening to recently, where you're most happy just doing your day-to-day routine. I was like, that's me to a T. Yep, that's awesome. That's exactly how I feel about it too.
Yeah, as soon as my routines change slightly, I'm probably not a nice person to be around. My head starts eating itself, and all I want to do is, I just want to go to work on the days I'm supposed to work. I just want to go home, and I'm the most happiest whenever. I'm also happy when the Knights are winning, but then they're not at the moment.
Yeah. No, it was those days off we had in the lead up to Ironman were pretty brutal. I was almost went insane. Going, I think we did like 150 days or so straight, and then a full day off. That was a bit of a shock, but no, it's very good. And so as far as races, I had my eye on Sunshine Coast 70.3, which is in September. So I'm quite tempted to sign up for that one, which I think, I don't know how many months away that is. It must be 4 months now. Which I thought would be a sort of a good halfway point. It gives us a chance to break it up a bit. And then as far as other races, I don't know. Some people have mentioned Husky, and I think that's February, or some other ones like that, Challenge Shepparton, or there's plenty down south, 70.3s at the start of the year, but I'm not too sure.
Hell of the North is always a good hit out. And you've got Coles Bay half. That's just a beautiful location, and it's some nice race. I'll be doing 70.3 Tassie and and I'll do Coles Bay half. That's my list for next year. But there's races.
Yeah, no, I was talking to a friend the other day, and they said, what races are you going to do next? And I said, if money wasn't an issue, I would do every race on the calendar next because they're so much fun. But that's probably one thing I would ask is there what's the optimal number of races? Let's say money wasn't an issue. Which races do you think we should do in the lead up? Say we want to qualify for Kona in 12 months. If money wasn't an issue, if I could go anywhere, how would we sort of structure that?
Oh, I like these sort of questions. So I would exactly 3 weeks out, I'd put a half Ironman there. Okay. And I'd probably start there with 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. And I'd use that as the kickoff to taper into Ironman.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be resting too much for that. That would be... That'd
be like the peak of the...
Yeah, because you don't want to be putting a whole lot of rest in, doing a 70.3, then recovering from that.
Up and down.
It'd be the volume would take a hit. So I'd probably do a half Ironman about 2-3 weeks out. Probably again for yourself, 12 weeks out, another one at 16 weeks out, and that's probably where I would leave it. And maybe consider doing a marathon about that 6 months out.
6 months, okay. Another question I had would be, is it worthwhile doing an Ironman between, let's say we have an A race in 12 months from now, would it be worthwhile doing an Ironman 6 months from now? Or is that too much of a cost?
So you could, not physically.
Physically, it's fine. Okay. That's
physically, mentally, you handled what we just did fine. So I don't see that being an issue. As long as it's within budget, just something like Ironman Western Australia would be a nice hit out. The only downside to Ironman Western Australia is it's just a super flat course. So you're in that aero position for the entire ride.
Which could be good for us, I guess, because that was sort of a limiting factor in Port Macquarie. That's the only downside to Busso is just how flat that it turns me away from it because of how flat the course is. But doing Busso, recovering from Busso, what would you have then? About 5 months leading into Port Macquarie. Right. All that's good. All that's doable. That gives you another Ironman of experience. Alan Pittman would always say you need 10 Ironman finishers shirts before you can race an Ironman. I've heard that.
And so there is a fair bit of truth to that. So to get the experience, I actually like that a little bit better. So I would scrap that marathon out of the way 6 months prior, and I'd do the Ironman.
No, I think there is a lot to learn from doing an Ironman. I mean, my knowledge of Ironmans now versus 2 weeks ago is way more just from one race experience. So I think you're exactly right. Where the more finisher shirts you can get, the more you're actually going to be able to really race an Ironman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But no, I think that's pretty much it as far as the points I wanted to address. It was just, okay, well, what kind of goals should we be setting? I mean, I sort of thought Kona as a default goal. I think that's a perfect 12 to 24 months, ideally 12 months. And then we can look beyond that as well, because, certainly really enjoying triathlon. It's loads of fun. And
I think it's definitely achievable to put yourself physically in a position to win your age group. I think that's doable without knowing who's going to race and how everyone's going to race.
You never know.
But you're in a position.
But
you will be in a position to win it. That would be a 12-month goal, and I think that's very doable.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's where we'll work on. That's what we'll work towards going forwards.
Sounds good, mate.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks for the catch up. I'll let you get back to your Saturday and run around like you always do, I can imagine.
Yeah, I've got to pick my daughter up now.
That sounds about right. All right. Thanks for that. I'm looking forward to get back to some training. So I'll talk to you again soon.
Righto, man. Catch you later.
Cheers.